Hey, welcome back to Fix It Marcus. Today we're going to have a couple of small projects to work on. This is my mailbox. You might notice that the lid's missing. Lid's starting to corrode and fall apart. The paint coating, so we're going to refinish it. And also, I usually have my house number up here. And we'll show you in a minute, it also needs to be refinished and redone and put back up. So let me show you what we're going to do. Okay, here's my house number. So you see it's a wooden plaque. It's seen better days. I'm going to sand it down and paint it this time. So if you notice, I have light gray vinyl siding on the house, and I have some dark gray paint left over from another job, so I'm going to paint this a dark gray. And then I have these brass numbers here that I had painted black in the past. I'm going to sand these down and repaint them again, but this time I'm going to paint them white for the contrast against the dark gray. So that should work out nicely as well. Here is the lid to the mailbox. So you see it's not black. It had a nice hammered copper type finish, which we're going to do again. But this is, as you can see, starting to flake off, so I want to strip it down. Have some water-based stripper here that I'm using, and it's a small job, so I'm not going to bother with gloves or anything like that. I'll just be careful and just follow the instructions on the container. Basically it says, shake it up vigorously, which I already done. Put it on with a brush, nice and thick. Give it about 2 hours to work, and we'll strip off the old paint, sand down the material, which looks like it's like a cast iron or some kind of cast metal material, and then we'll spray paint it again, the same copper finish. So let's first do the stripping. So like it says, I'm putting it on thick. You got to give it time to work. This is all stuff I've had from previous jobs. Nice not to have to buy too much for every project you have to do. But as you can see, carefully putting it on. Obviously you don't want to get it on your skin, so I'm being careful not to splash. It says put it on in one direction, so I'll follow the instructions more or less. And there, it's done. Put some newspaper underneath it so I can move this, because the next step will be to sand and sand off and finish, get that plaque ready for the next step. Okay, well, we're back now. We're going to work on the nameplate, or the number plate, sorry, on the house. Here it is here, the before. So see, you can see it's a bit tired. I refinished this, I don't know, years ago, and just kept the same plain wood finish with a varnish on top to protect it. It's time to redo it. So I have my palm sander here, 120 grit paper. Just want to sand it down, clean it up enough so that the paint will stick. We're going to do both sides. I'm going to put a layer of a coat of primer on it first, front and back, and then on the front I'll do the actual gray paint that I mentioned. And then, as you can see, for this molded finish, I'm going to use a sponge sander, also fine grit, just to get into there easily. And for the numbers themselves, I'm going to use some steel wool so I can get into every nook and cranny. Again, I'm just roughing them up so that the future paint will stick. So I'm going to sand this first. We might use a time lapse depending on how long this takes. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this dust down. I don't want to use water or anything like that. It'll just lift the grain off the wood, and which I don't want. So I happen to have in the back here a little bit of methyl hydrate, and I'll use that. But anything would work. Varsol would work. Mineral spirits, that sort of stuff, just to get the dust off properly. So again, I'm not going to be doing a lot of this, so I'm not wearing any hand protection. Cleans it off nicely, off all surfaces, and we'll be ready to paint shortly. There we go. That's all it takes. As you can see the old brass under it. You know, brass is tough, so one day might have it back to brass, but like I mentioned earlier, I'll be spray painting these white. Okay, so time to prime the plaque. I'm just using drywall primer, PVA based one on this one. It's what I happen to have around, but any basic primer will work. You can even take any latex paint, water it down, and use it as a primer as well, as long as the color of that latex paint doesn't interfere with the final color you're going to put on. So let's get this out of the way so you can see. I'm going to do the back and then the front. The back is just bare wood, so I want to seal it up with this primer. Okay, while we're waiting for the primer to dry on the plaque there, I'm going to spray paint the numbers. This is a white or slightly off-white spray paint. It's an epoxy, so it's ultra hard. Again, happen to have some around, made by Rust-Oleum. They're not a sponsor. And I'm just going to quickly spray paint a couple of coats on these numbers so that they're ready to go. And then the next step will be to put the final color paint on the plaque. Welcome back. Just a quick recap where we are. So here we have the numbers that are now spray painted, ready to go. House numbers. Here's the plaque that the house numbers go on. So it's been primed. And the next step now is to paint it in the final color. And here's the lid off the mailbox. Now the stripper didn't work too well. I tried it twice. This is how much came off, and I've sanded it down. So I'm going to spray paint it as it is. I don't know what's wrong with the stripper. I don't know if it's because this is rust paint, the original paint. So maybe it's too tough for that stripper to take it off, or the stripper's too old, or something to that effect. But I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to spray paint it directly instead. So those are the next steps we're going to do. And there you have it. There's the lid on the mailbox. There's the house number hung back up beside the lamp in the front. And you can see that the gray matches up with the gray siding. So thanks for joining us. Hope to see you soon on another video. Bye-bye.